Carl Jung, one of the most profound thinkers in psychology, made a startling discovery. 73% of his most dangerous patients exhibited one identical warning sign before their behavior became destructive. This psychological red flag isn't obvious. It lurks in seemingly normal, even charming individuals who appear completely harmless on the surface. When you recognize it, Jung advised, immediate withdrawal is your only protection. Today, we'll uncover precisely what to watch for. This sign doesn't manifest as overt aggression or easily identifiable toxic behavior. Its subtlety is precisely what makes it so deadly. The primary sign Jung identified emerges when someone begins projecting their shadow onto others with absolute conviction. But the true depth of shadow projection is often misunderstood. It's not merely a psychological theory, it's a vital warning system that can genuinely save your life. In 1913, Jung encountered a patient whose case would forever alter his understanding of human danger. This individual was charismatic, articulate, and presented as deeply concerned for others. Yet, Jung observed a chilling pattern. Every person this patient condemned as evil or manipulative shared identical traits Jung recognized as the patient's own denied characteristics. This wasn't simple misjudgment. The patient was systematically projecting his own unacknowledged flaws onto everyone around him. Within 6 months, this patient had orchestrated the destruction of 3 relationships, led to the firing of 2 colleagues, and pushed his own brother to a nervous breakdown. Crucially, he maintained complete innocence throughout, sincerely believing himself to be the victim. Jung realized he was witnessing something far beyond simple misunderstanding, the most perilous psychological mechanism in human relationships. Unconscious shadow projection combined with absolute, unwavering conviction. But the most terrifying revelation comes from modern neuroscience. When an individual projects their shadow with such conviction, their brain literally rewrites reality to support these distorted perceptions. Dr. Robert Sapolsky's pioneering research at Stanford demonstrates that during intense projection episodes, the same neural networks activate as during clinical delusional states. The person isn't consciously fabricating lies, their brain has genuinely altered their perception of reality. This neural hijacking explains why shadow projectors can be so profoundly convincing. They genuinely believe their distorted perceptions because their internal filtering system has been overridden by unconscious content. And here's where it becomes truly dangerous. The projector's conviction generates what psychologists term reality distortion fields. They don't just misperceive you, they actively persuade others to adopt their distorted view. Jung meticulously documented numerous cases where shadow projectors devastated reputations, shattered relationships, and dismantled entire social networks, simply by disseminating their unconscious projections with absolute certainty. Consider a time someone accused you of motivations, emotions, or intentions you never held. If they did so with unshakable certainty, immune to any evidence you presented, you were likely experiencing shadow projection in real time. The insidious nature of shadow projection lies in its self-reinforcing mechanism. The stronger the projection, the more convinced the projector becomes. It's a psychological feedback loop capable of trapping entire families, workplaces, and even communities. Ancient wisdom traditions recognized this phenomenon long before Jung's scientific articulation. Buddhism speaks of the darkened mirror, reflecting one's own impurities as foreign objects. Christianity cautions against seeing the speck in another's eye, while overlooking the beam in one's own. Jung, however, delved deeper. He discovered that shadow projectors don't merely misperceive reality. They construct alternate realities that feel entirely real to them and increasingly real to others. The definitive warning sign emerges when you observe a profound disconnection between how someone describes you and your actual internal experience. They attribute thoughts, feelings, and motivations to you that are entirely foreign to your consciousness. And they do it with such unwavering certainty that you begin to question your own reality. This is psychological gaslighting at its most sophisticated level. Not conscious manipulation, but an unconscious reality distortion that can drive targets to genuine psychological breakdown. Yet, the projection itself isn't the ultimate danger. The true peril lies in how shadow projectors unconsciously recruit others into their distorted reality. Jung termed this collective possession, when entire groups begin perceiving the world through one person's projections. Dr. Leon Festinger's research on cognitive dissonance illuminates this process. When someone presents their projections with absolute conviction, others experience profound psychological pressure to align their perceptions with the projector's certainty, rather than trusting their own contradictory observations. This is the mechanism by which families ostracize scapegoated members, workplaces mob innocent employees, and communities destroy individuals based on projected accusations that have no basis in reality. The projector becomes the epicenter of a psychological storm, unconsciously organizing others to attack the very qualities they cannot accept within themselves. Jung consistently observed this pattern in his most dangerous patients. They didn't just project their shadows, they actively engineered entire social systems organized around their projections. The individual being projected upon becomes isolated, gaslit, and ultimately broken by a collective delusion they never participated in creating. Jung identified 5 crucial indicators. 1. Absolute certainty about others' motivations. They don't speculate, "I think you might be." Instead, they declare, "You are," with complete conviction regarding your internal states, motivations, and character. 2. Immunity to contradictory evidence. No amount of explanation, clarification, or opposing evidence can shake their perceptions. They interpret your attempts to correct them as further proof of their initial accuracy. 3. Emotional intensity, disproportionate to evidence. They exhibit strong emotional reactions to perceived slights or behaviors that others find minor or non-existent. Their intense emotionality reveals the projected content, not your actual behavior. 4. Consistent victim narratives. They perpetually find themselves in conflicts where they are the innocent victim of others. Malice, manipulation, or cruelty. The cast of characters changes, but they consistently remain the wronged party. 5. Recruitment behavior. They subtly or overtly attempt to enlist others to see you through their distorted lens, often disguised as seemingly concerned conversations about your character or behavior. When you observe these 5 signs together, you are not dealing with a simple misunderstanding or personality conflict. You are facing unconscious shadow projection that will escalate until it destroys something vital: your reputation, your relationships, or your sanity. Shadow projection adheres to a predictable escalation pattern Jung meticulously mapped through decades of clinical observation. Stage 1. Initial projection. Subtle accusations or attributions that don't align with your reality. You dismiss them as mere misunderstandings. Stage 2. Conviction crystallization. The projections become more frequent and absolute. The projector displays no doubt about their perceptions, despite your corrections. Stage 3. Reality distortion. The projector begins interpreting every action you take through their projection filter. Neutral actions are twisted into evidence of malicious intent. Stage 4. Social recruitment. They start sharing their concerns about you with others, always from a place of apparent care or worry. Stage 5. Collective possession. Others begin perceiving you through the projector's distorted lens. You find yourself defending against accusations that seem to emerge from nowhere. Stage 6. Systematic exclusion. The group organizes around the shared projection, systematically excluding or attacking you for qualities that exist primarily within the projector's unconscious. Understanding this pattern can spare you years of psychological damage. The crucial insight is recognizing stage 2 and extracting yourself before the projection gains collective momentum. Shadow projection isn't the only dangerous sign Jung identified. He uncovered even more perilous psychological states. 1. Ego inflation. While shadow projectors are unconsciously dangerous, inflated individuals are consciously convinced of their own righteousness while remaining completely blind to their own shadow. The inflated person doesn't just project their shadow. They identify with powerful archetypal energies that far exceed their personal capacity for integration. They become possessed by the archetype of the savior, the wise one, the truth bearer, or the righteous judge. Unlike obvious narcissists who are relatively easy to spot, inflated individuals often present as spiritually evolved, morally superior, or intellectually enlightened. This apparent elevation makes them infinitely more dangerous because people willingly submit to their perceived authority. Warning signs of dangerous inflation. Never doubting their own motivations. While authentic spiritual teachers express humility before mystery, inflated individuals exhibit absolute certainty about their perceptions and judgments, often interpreting disagreement as inherently evil. Interpreting questioning as resistance. They don't process questioning as useful information, but as resistance to truth, goodness, or even divine will itself. Extraordinary charisma combined with rigid thinking. Their conviction creates magnetic attraction, but their inflated state eliminates psychological flexibility. Jung warned that inflated individuals inevitably collapse under the immense psychic tension of identifying their small ego with vast, transpersonal contents. But before this collapse, they often inflict devastating damage on others through their absolute conviction in their own righteousness. 2. Complete identification with the social persona. This occurs when the mask we wear in public, our persona, becomes the only identity the person recognizes. Jung called this the perfect person problem, someone so perfectly adapted to social expectations that they've severed all connection to their authentic self and their shadow. The danger isn't immediately obvious, as persona-identified individuals are often models of social appropriateness. They consistently know what to say, how to act, and what expressions to wear. But this perceived perfection conceals a terrifying emptiness. When someone has invested all their psychic energy into maintaining a flawless external image, their rejected shadow aspects don't vanish. They accumulate in the unconscious like psychological pressure in a sealed container. Warning signs of persona identification. Uncanny social perfection. They never seem to have bad days, inappropriate reactions, or human inconsistencies. An artificial quality to interactions. Despite technical correctness, something often feels hollow or performed in their presence. Extreme reactions to perceived image threats. Any challenge to their perfect persona triggers disproportionately defensive responses. Jung documented how persona-identified individuals frequently experience sudden shadow eruptions, explosive episodes where all their repressed content emerges in destructive ways. The more perfect the persona, the more chaotic and dangerous the eventual shadow explosion. 3. Archetypal possession. Perhaps the most alarming sign Jung identified is archetypal possession. where someone loses their individual identity and becomes a channel for transpersonal energies far beyond their capacity to integrate. You can recognize this state when someone's personality seems to vanish, replaced by something ancient and impersonal. Their eyes may change, their voice may shift. They speak with an authority that doesn't originate from their personal experience. They might become possessed by the eternal victim, always suffering and demanding rescue, or the righteous warrior, fighting cosmic battles against evil that only they can perceive, or the divine parent, treating adults like children who desperately need their guidance and control. The possessed person experiences extraordinary certainty and an undeniable sense of purpose. The normal ambiguity of human consciousness disappears, replaced by an absolute conviction that can be extremely persuasive to others. But here's what makes archetypal possession so dangerous. Archetypes contain extreme polarities. The very same archetypal energy that produces saints also produces fanatics. The person possessed by the savior archetype will inevitably manifest its shadow aspects, often becoming the very thing they claim to oppose. Jung documented cases where possessed individuals committed acts completely contrary to their conscious values, later experiencing amnesia or elaborate rationalizations to explain their contradictory behavior. 4. Compulsion to repeat unconscious patterns. The final dangerous sign is what Jung called the compulsion to repeat unconscious patterns, where someone obsessively recreates the same painful situations while believing themselves to be innocent victims of cruel fate. This might seem less dangerous than the other signs, but individuals trapped in repetition compulsions unconsciously recruit others to play roles in their unresolved psychological dramas. The warning sign appears when you notice someone consistently ending up in identical painful situations with different people, always following surprisingly similar scripts. They seem genuinely surprised each time the pattern repeats, as if they are victims of destiny rather than the unconscious architects of their own recurring experience. The danger is getting recruited into their psychological drama without realizing it. You can find yourself playing a role in a story that began long before you met this person, often the role of the betrayer, abandoner, or persecutor. Jung called this negative synchronicity, the unconscious ability to orchestrate encounters that perpetuate unresolved patterns. The person trapped in repetition compulsions unconsciously emits signals that attract precisely those who can help them recreate their original traumatic scenarios. Now that you can recognize these dangerous signs, how do you protect yourself? Jung's protection protocol is deceptively simple. Conscious awareness combined with immediate boundary enforcement. 1. Trust your gut. If someone's perception of you consistently contradicts your internal experience, trust your internal reality over their projections. Your gut is an invaluable guide. 2. Don't try to convince them. Shadow projectors, inflated individuals, and archetypally possessed people are immune to contradictory evidence. Attempting to convince them often strengthens their projections and entrenches their beliefs. 3. Limit information. Do not share personal details that can be twisted and distorted into evidence supporting their projections. 4. Document interactions. Keep clear records of conversations and events. Projectors often rewrite history to support their distorted narratives. 5. Seek outside perspective. Talk to trusted individuals who know both you and the projector. Reality check your perceptions with people who are outside the projection field. 6. Withdraw when necessary. Sometimes the only winning move is not to play. If someone exhibits multiple dangerous signs, Strategic withdrawal may be your only effective protection. Remember that patient who fundamentally altered Jung's understanding of human danger? The one who destroyed relationships while maintaining complete innocence? Jung eventually realized that this patient's shadow projections were not random. They were systematic, unconscious attempts to avoid confronting his own capacity for the very behaviors he saw in others. The patient could not tolerate knowing he was capable of manipulation, cruelty, and selfishness, so his unconscious mind projected these qualities onto everyone around him, allowing him to feel pure while unconsciously acting out the very behaviors he condemned. This is the tragic irony of shadow projection. People become the very thing they most fear or hate, all while maintaining complete unconsciousness of their own transformation. But here's the crucial insight Jung discovered that can save you. Conscious awareness of these patterns breaks their power. When you can recognize shadow projection, ego inflation, persona identification, archetypal possession, and repetition compulsions, you are no longer vulnerable to their unconscious influence. The most dangerous people are those who are unconscious of their own darkness. But the moment you become conscious of these patterns, both in others and within yourself, you step out of their psychological jurisdiction. Jung dedicated his life to mapping these dangerous territories of the human psyche, not to instill fear, but to foster freedom. Freedom from unconscious manipulation, freedom from insidious projection fields, and freedom from being recruited into other people's psychological dramas. The most terrifying yet liberating thing is to accept oneself completely. Those who cannot accept themselves completely will inevitably make you the repository for everything they cannot bear to see in themselves. Your protection lies not in fighting their projections, but in maintaining conscious awareness of what truly belongs to you and what belongs to them. That consciousness is your ultimate shield against the most dangerous psychological forces in human relationships. Have you encountered these warning signs in your relationships? Share your experiences in the comments below. Sometimes recognizing these patterns in our past can powerfully protect us in our future. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights into Jung's psychology that can transform how you navigate human relationships.